How can we minimize the impact of stereotypes? This figure highlights some of the evidence-based approaches to minimizing the negative effects of stereotypes. We'll cover each one in the next few slides. The first strategy is to increase intergroup contact. According to the contact hypothesis, direct contact between two groups can reduce intergroup prejudice under certain conditions. All four of these criteria need to be met in order for this strategy to be effective. 1. Both groups should have equal status in society. Status inequalities can cancel out the benefits of direct contact. 2. Individuals have one-on-one personal interactions. This strategy only works if the groups interact. 3. Both groups should participate in cooperative activities which require working together to achieve the same goal, not a competitive activity. 4. Social norms should favor intergroup contact, meaning this strategy won't work if the environment doesn't support it. The second strategy is to take the first one a step further and encourage cross-group friendships and romantic relationships. People who engage in intergroup relationships tend to have more positive attitudes and behaviors toward outgroup members than people who avoid them. In fact, just knowing that an in-group friend has a close outgroup friend can produce positive intergroup benefits, which is called the extended or indirect contact effect. It works by increasing knowledge about the other group, by increasing empathy and perspective taking, and by reducing anxiety about intergroup contact. The third strategy is to take steps to reduce stereotype threat. This can be done by first affirming that everyone belongs, that everyone is capable of performing well. Do not mention stereotypes. It also helps to enhance an individual's sense of trust and safety, and to address concerns about unfairness. One way your instructors might do this is to grade with students' names hidden. In this way, a submission is not tied to an individual, so the instructors can focus on grading the work, not the person. Another option is to use Jigsaw classrooms, which are essentially structured group activities that require cooperation between groups. By working together, the members begin to see outgroup members as part of their ingroup, as part of we instead of they. One study published by Aronson found, for example, that children who participated in Jigsaw classrooms ended up liking each other more, liking school more, having less prejudice, and having higher self-esteem. We might also minimize the effects of stereotypes by highlighting the ways that different groups share an identity. The common intergroup identity model says intergroup attitudes can improve if individuals recategorize themselves as members of a more inclusive, superordinate group with a shared identity. Instead of us versus them, it's we. One way of doing this is to create a common label for the overarching group. When two public school districts merge, communities tend to see more success when they choose a new name, new mascot, new colors, and so on. The smaller of the two districts, or the one with less power, may feel overwhelmed by a loss of identity as they merge with the other district. It's important that they're encouraged to maintain dual identities, to nurture both identities, their subgroup and the larger group. It's also important that the different groups are not physically separated. They should be in physical proximity to one another. Another interesting strategy is to encourage the superordinate group to wear similar clothing. If you've ever volunteered at a large community event, you may have received a t-shirt. Or if you've ever watched an all-star sporting match where players from different teams join together to play for fun or charity, they wear the same uniforms. By having members wear similar clothing, we make the shared identity visible and more salient to individuals. Yet another option is to practice exerting self-control. Suppressing stereotype activation requires cognitive effort, and we may experience some cognitive fatigue, which impairs our ability to self-regulate. This is especially the case as we age, when we are tired or intoxicated, or when we have some kind of cognitive impairment. Some people are externally motivated to control their prejudice. They do not want other people to know. Others are internally motivated. They genuinely do not want to be prejudicial toward a group, regardless of what others would think. The literature suggests that people who are internally motivated are more effective at exerting self-control than those who are externally driven. Here are a few things we can do to minimize stereotyping. It helps to think about examples that contradict any stereotype that pops into our thoughts. Get into the habit of reminding yourself that there are plenty of people who do not fit the stereotype. It also helps to take others' perspectives and try to see and experience the world how they see and experience it. Those who believe it's possible to unlearn prejudice are, in fact, able to unlearn it. They tend to recognize differences and value people's uniqueness. One of the ways that internally driven people are able to overcome their stereotypes is to learn to recognize the stimuli that trigger stereotype activation. Throughout this lecture, you learned about stereotypes, how they're measured, how they form, how they affect us, and how we can minimize them. In the next lecture, we are going to take a closer look at attitudes and how they influence our behavior.